there is something that I think gets taken away from the game and the challenge of a tabletop role-playing game when you allow players to use dice to decide the outcome. I mean, it doesn't mean dice aren't used to decide an outcome. They're the randomness in the game. But they're not the only thing used to decide what the outcome will be. What do I mean? Like in combat, do you think it's just the attack dice roll that is allowing the player to not really have to think, just the attack dice roll? Like they're just rolling the dice, Steven. So what are you talking about? Well, who moved the character into position in battle? Who makes the decision where the character stands, what they do, and how they do it? And what the character is doing, where they place themselves, does that affect the outcome? Is there a chance that they get a better chance, given if a player is making good decisions in combat with their character? Well, you move your character into a great spot to get behind the enemy. I mean, you might be playing a warrior, not even a rogue. It's just the way you placed your character where, however it's worked out, they're going to be behind the monster attacking, getting a bonus. That's what you call good decision making, and the player needs to play the game and not just depend on the dice. I hate a perception check as far as using it in a room to search the room and the players don't have to say anything. And there's so many reasons why this dice rolling to bypass things hurts the game. I have mentioned this several times, but I'll mention it again because I think it's really important. You know, you might be in a dungeon, right? And you get your player characters to the final boss. Before that, they rolled dice. It's not been too much heat. You pull out this big trap, the final boss, and you can tell your players are they're smoked. They are not ready for what you're putting in front of them. At all. They're not ready for it. Right? Why? Why are they not ready? They're not ready to think. There's nothing there. But the reason is earlier in the game, there's no expectation that they are thinking and using their minds in game, in character, pretty, consistently. Like one thing you do to let players think is get them to do some minute stuff. It's interesting. They have to search around the room verbally, say it out loud, so that's the action of their character. They search around the room. What I do is I make people do that, but at a certain point, then I'll supply dice rolls. Make some effort. Let's start looking, and then let's put some dice rolls in. But the effort to get them thinking, interacting in the room with the other characters, because they have to be in the scene, and getting them to think about where to look. Just imagine, use their imagination to picture the bed, picture the table. This is all activity to keep their minds warmed up for the big game. Sometimes when I'm talking about tabletop role-playing games and my cat wants my attention, he gets it. Let's get back to this. So, when you have your players doing all these minute things, thinking and all of this, you're warming them up. There's a bit of a bump in thinking players need to get through. And it should be done as early as you can before you're hitting the big heat, the big trap. Because then if you're bringing them into it and they're already, the imagination's running, because imagination helps you think and just see things to make better decisions. All kinds of things are going on in a way even the players might not understand. But for that to be going on properly, they need to be prepared through these processes of thinking. But if you bypass this stuff with a dice roll, boom, I'm telling you as an experienced game master, this is what you're doing to players. And a lot of DMs out there had the exact experience I'm talking about. They get players to a fucking boss and they're like, yeah, these guys are not ready. They're simply just not ready. Right? Even a mid-level high fight, they might not be ready for, right? It might be treated like the boss because you just had them, dice rolling around and doing nothing. Then we get to charisma checks and socializing. So, here's how I work it. I'll give you an example. Your characters are going up to a bridge. There's a guard there. He says you can't cross, but you got to cross. And you're going to want to, socialize. You want to talk to him, convince him to let you cross. All right. He might say no, but you're going to take a shot at him. Fair or not? One moment. So I'll consider a lot of things as a game master. We'll go over what your charisma score is if you're playing D&D, for example. Because this is what we're talking about, D&D. Let's be straight up. It's not too many other games. Some of the similar things here will work over there too, like getting players to think their way through. At any game, if you take somebody into a hard thinking spot and you haven't warmed them up beforehand, or they haven't warmed up beforehand, you're going to screw them. Now I imagine even other like vampire game storytellers, whatever they call themselves, I imagine they've had that experience. Here's the big vampire. Oh shit, these guys aren't ready. They're fucking dead. They're fucking dead. And you as the one leading the game, you realize it like halfway through, like, oh fuck. Like you knew something was wrong. And there you are. Because they just weren't mentally ready to think their way through. It doesn't mean, and they have options. Isn't it really screwy as a game master to watch your players with characters that have great options? You're watching them and they are flailing. This happens quite often when you pull shit on players without them thinking. This is why you don't bypass the search in the room thing. Right? So they're ready for those moments. But if you're not an experienced game master, I get why you don't know that. Right? And look, sometimes you get lucky with a lot of things. I'm just saying, if you want to guarantee your players are prepped for the big moments, you keep them working all the way through. And they're playing the game. Dice rolling through the room isn't playing a tabletop role-playing game. There's a bit of role-playing and socializing and talking, moving your character around. All the stuff you got to do, and not just dice roll. And not just pick selective moments to actually say your character's running across something only in the fight, right? But anyway, let's get back. So we go over charisma score, we go over a few things on the character sheet, and I'm like, okay, I consider all that high charisma score, that will be benefited, because I don't want to look at the player who might not be good at socializing, good at speaking, and say, I'm going to hold this over your head. We're going to actually look at your character and see how good they are. Now I'm going to judge your words, right? And you don't have to be the greatest socializing person to understand some words that will work. You've seen movies, you've seen TV shows, you've seen people you know are confident, you know what they say, you know how they act. You can mechanically do it, and I expect you to bring that to the game. Your experience in life, what you've seen. What would a cool guy say in this situation, dude? If you got a cool guy, you're playing. Right? You might not be the cool guy. Well, you know what I mean, right? I'm just saying, you might not be the guy that you're playing, but how are we going to make sure that you're not cheated? Where I don't listen to your lack of socializing skills and go, no, the guard hears you and he says no to you right away. The guard is listening to your character. So I take all that into consideration, but I'm still going to challenge you to say the words and not give you a dice roll. Now, there's a few outcomes of that. Could be that the guard hears what you say, and I've considered all the good things about your character, or the bad, and he says, alright, fuck it, yeah, go ahead. Well, and you're like looking at me as a player, no dice roll? No dice roll. So your chances you can say something that I'm so impressed with that, that I believe not the game master, I will separate myself, and I'm looking at it from the NPC's point of view, just in case he has a weaker personality than myself. So I don't want to put my standard on you. I'd put what I believe his standard would be. So you say something, he lets you through. Okay, that's cool. No dice roll. Well, what if you say something where he just goes, yeah, no, fuck off. You're not crossing this bridge. Well, that is... And you're like, well, do I get a dice roll? No, that's you getting refused. You said words, and I'm convinced this guy he doesn't need a dice roll. He's telling you to fuck off straight out. Now, what if you say something where the guard is unsure? You know what's coming. The dice roll, right? If the guard is not sure, we go to the coin flip, which is what? You know. See, the dice roll is a coin flip, really. It's helping you make decisions, it's not meant to play the game for you. It's meant to create the random outcome. So you got to play the character in the fight right up to the point you swing the sword. Right? And all the decisions for that character right up to that moment are yours without dice rolls. The dice roll is not meant to do the work in the fight. It's only showing you the outcome of your action. So it's only a coin flip. So it's not playing the game for you. It's showing you the outcome of you playing the game. When you do a perception check in a room and skip searching, the dice roll is playing the game for you. And there's negative effects because these are the type of areas where you get players to think, you get players to interact, you get players to play with their imagination. And these are great minute areas, almost like practice, especially for new players. You want them warming up in areas where it's easier. Like, you always want them trying to work their imagination for the first time when they're about to die or when they're fighting the big thing. Like, isn't it good to be able to get them to search a room and just get some new players working on that thing you know they need overall to play the game and enjoy it at peak? I mean, even if you're a casual group, the imagination's fucking important. I mean, the quality, no matter how you approach the game, the quality of the game, if you're good with that, because it's a mind game, is better. Like, this is not checkers, dude. It's not checkers, right? That's not what we're... Tabletop role-playing games, in reality, they make chess look like checkers. Yeah, the players might not make the game look like that, but the game's potential is something, it's like chess, but like with 50 million other moves. I mean, if a chess player is good at chess, trust me, they're getting fucking lost in the game. Right? This is massive in complexity and detail. Right? So you want to take your time, you want to enjoy things, and you want to make sure that the players are facing what? The challenge of the game. And how are you being challenged if the dice is doing the job for you? So you don't roll a charisma check just to see, like, okay, let's see if he agrees with you or not. Roll. Now talk. He's going to say yes, so what would you say? Or he's going to say maybe, so what would you say? Like, or whatever the fuck, right? But it's like, before you even speak, you're told the outcome. That's the dice playing the game for you. That's why I pose that method of doing charisma checks with the dice rolling first. I think, now I agree with people that would criticize you're not considering the character. No, you consider the character. You do that shit. I've heard people say, like, oh, you're just ignoring the charisma. No, you don't ignore the charisma of the character. You acknowledge it as a game master. You take all that in for the benefit of the player. If they do, and if so, there's beneficial numbers that character is charismatic and socially well-to-do. A game master just has to consider that no matter who they hear speaking, right? What would it be like if those words came from the cool guy? Now, you also got to understand players are not so inferior that they can't say what the cool guy would say. Even the most average player has seen guys on TV, has seen guys in life, has seen women, has just seen people they think are cool, slick, whatever. They've heard what they say, they know lines. Mechanically, any player knows this shit. Even young people pretty much had enough experience at that point to bring that on in most cases, and they can. So there's nothing wrong with expecting a player to have to play the game through their words without giving them the dice roll beforehand, where it takes away that challenge. The challenge should be what you say is going to decide if you're getting through here or not. And what you say can lead to the coin flip of 50-50. It can get you rejected or it can get you through. But it's still on you, player, not the dice, to play the game and get yourself in a good position. The dice are not here to play the game. They're only here to tell you what the outcome of your decisions are. You are still playing the game. And when we get rid of that element, for any reason, we hurt the game overall, because a lot of inexperienced people are the ones that get rid of these issues. Like, well, or see them as issues to get rid of. It's like, oh man, we shouldn't have to fucking... I mean, it's boring to role play in the fucking room and say you're going to do it every time, look under the... Yes! Yes! Because the warm-up is always needed. That's always a type of place. And I'm using the room as any kind of location. Right? Any kind of location you go in where a dice is bypassing what you got to do, the dice is playing the game for you. That's not how you play a tabletop role-playing game. So, if you want to know a certain way, oh, is there a wrong way to play the game? Well, if the dice is playing the game for you, that's the wrong way. Don't you think? I mean, you're the player. Aren't you supposed to play the game? Right? I mean, or are you there just to serve the dice? Are you a servant of the dice? The dice get to have all the fun, decide how it goes? Because the dice is making all the decisions for you, not telling you the outcome of yours. But they're letting you skip. There goes your thinking. And this is why I criticize a bit of 5e. I don't like a lot of the options of 5e where it feels like a lot of A, B, C for players. And I ran it myself now. It's exactly what I expected. Them coming up to situations where I'm realizing, yeah, they're going to choose A, B, or C. There's nothing unique they have to do. It's either on their character sheet or in the game rules. Like, at no point do they got to think for themselves. And I'm like, 5e players are not really playing a mind game. They're playing like a generated auto game. I don't know what the fuck 5e is, but it's not proper. I mean, people tell me it's okay, and maybe because they feel it's smooth or something. And there is some level outside of combat of smoothness, but it's not good. Like, it's a really empty feeling game because there's no life to it. Because the people that built 5e weren't me. They didn't have 30 plus years of experience. They didn't run over 10,000 tabletop role-playing gaming sessions. They didn't run the game for thousands of players. They didn't get deeper wisdom to understand why you don't let the dice play the game for you. What you have is a big company like WotC serving you a nice looking product, but the text inside the game itself is one of the most mediocre games on the entire market. And it's there to, how can I say, be convenient, but empty. Nothing, no life. This is why people have been running away from 5e so casually after a short period of time. It's seriously, 5e is a dig game. It's a dig game because it has, well, as the Christians would say, it has no soul. Right? And that's, a game loses its soul when the player is not playing the game. You'll get burnt out. You keep skipping all this stuff and you're not investing, because part of all of this role-playing stuff and decision-making is called investment. If you keep skipping investment areas for a player, and you're wondering whether they're not coming back to the next session or they're getting burnt out, this is a big reason. One way to keep a player excited about what's going on and caring is to get them invested through needing to run the... Remember, all the role-playing you're skipping is the time they build up a relationship with the character. And all these little moments you might skip are moments where they could have interacted with other characters, did other things, character development. God damn. And if you don't think that stuff is important, I mean, I think you're lost. Go play the fucking checkers game. This is not what we do here. You could say you're going to play it like a board game. You are giving away something really valuable. It's like trying to play most video games with like 2 buttons when it's made for 4. I mean, you might be able to get by, but it's going to suck. And it's not going to be challenging. It's just going to suck. And what you're doing is a lot of suck, right? Because it is fun to do those things. Stop being so shallow and not seeing the value in things. Stop being nerds that pick everything apart and see nothing where there is lots of value. You know, I think nerds pick so many things apart that they forget to use their common sense to just be wise and see something deeper going on in front of them. I've done this game mastering stuff for so long, like so intensely long, that I have just picked up on stuff that's so important. And this is one aspect of the game I think is the most valuable. The player needs to play the game, not the dice. Anyway, I love you. At least most of you. For now, take care.